I don't think any actor ever thinks that, oh, this film deserves my presence. I don't think an actor comes with that kind of security. Actors predominantly are very insecure people.
You know, there's often conversation about what sort of film should represent our country at the Oscars.
Rohini, I'm going to disappoint you by sharing my pessimism. Frankly, even I was surprised that Homebound was chosen.
Wherever I go, I meet women and they tell me, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much. This is my story. ये तो मैं हूँ. ये तो मेरी life है. And that makes me feel sad, yet I don't know.
Our entire crew was made up of a majority of women, and that in itself felt really special, especially in the Tamil industry where it's not very common that you see this happening.
Like how we think about the modern Indian art movement and the prices things go for at the moment, and how people support Indian art, modern Indian art, is not how people think about modern Indian cinema.
So at one point it just felt like we just went and told Tripti, no, at some point just scream if you feel like. And we said if you feel like. And she did, and everyone on the set went quiet.
हर एक्टर इम्प्रोवाइज करता है. अब ये ऐसा हो गया कि राइटर बाप होता है, वो एकदम से कैप भी बन गई, टी शर्ट भी बन गई, राइटर्स ने अपने टेबल पे भी लगा दिया.
Our films also are also a theatrical experience, not just because we don't have a Superman flying or we don't have song and dance, we don't have action, but we still are, a theatrical experience.
This is not a roundtable. This is a moment. It's a moment where cinema is going to be celebrated wholeheartedly. We have pioneers, we have debutantes, and we have titans who've given us some of the most memorable narratives of the year. I'm going to start with the director whose films do not shout but stay with you. Now taking Homebound, India's official Oscar entry to the world stage, Neeraj Ghaywan. An actor who knows the power of scale, spectacle and pure entertainment. Here for I Want to Talk, Be Happy, Kalidhar Lapata, and I Want to Talk, which will never leave me. I'm saying that twice because truly it hasn't left me in 2025. Abhishek Bachchan. An actor who said, why wait, and turned producer in 2025, backing stories like Sabar Bonda and Boksho Bondi, and giving indie cinema the much needed sex appeal in the direst and yet richest of times, Sarbh. Fearless about scale, scrutiny and the responsibility that came along with it, a young director stepped into her first full-length feature in this year with Dhadak 2, Shazia Iqbal. An actor who was once told she was too pretty. She decided to break it with a film that challenged what a heroine should even look like, leave alone what should she be doing on that big screen. Here for Bad Girl, a film that shook up an entire world, Anjali Sivaraman. An actor who keeps jumping between worlds without explanation, from Chava to Superboys of Malegaon to Nishanchi to Rangeen, all in 1 year, Vineet Kumar Singh. An actor who truly came into her own with her fine performance of Mrs., traversing mediums, languages and scale with her signature ease and grace, while she keeps dancing on the gram, Sanya Malhotra. Welcome to the Best in Cinema Roundtable 2025, guys. Thank you so much. Guys, firstly, I want to say thank you so much for making time today. What I see here is these stories, right? I see someone who chose to front a Dalit narrative, an intersection between oppression and love that's rural and gay. Two stories that are pure triumph of spirit and will, and two about women who are finding their voice. Can I just say I'm so proud that this is how our cinema looks today. Welcome to the Best in Cinema Roundtable 2025, guys. Thank you so much. Neeraj, I'm going to start with you. That's why I kept you right next to me. You know, there's often, first of all, have you all congratulated Neeraj enough?
Yes. Not enough, no.
Not enough. Not enough. Yeah. So,
before your question,
yes,
I want to clap for him.
Oh, this is amazing. Thank you for the wonderful film you made. And while it's on its way, you know, the campaign's on right now, I do want to say something really special for me is that Shah Rukh tweeted. And am I the only one who's that excited, or are you also equally excited? Yeah, yeah. there's often conversation about what sort of film should represent our country at the Oscars. People have opinions, people say, ऐसी ही film क्यों भेजते हैं? But इस साल मुझे लग रहा है कि उतनी बात नहीं हुई है कि ये क्यों जा रही है. So I want to first say that's great. And what do you think the conversation should be, though, once the film is on its way to this campaign?
I feel, I mean, there is a body that has chosen this film. Frankly, even I was surprised that Homebound was chosen. But here we are. And I think the reason why it has cut across so many layers and also across the world, why it's resonated so well, is I think people understand that it is for people who often are not seen and heard and invisibilized. So connection as a form of resistance is the only way to dismantle institutions that invisibilize you. I think that's what people have seen and that's what is connected all across. And I guess that's why maybe people saw that it is the best choice because it's a universal theme and friendship is also such a universal theme. So I guess that's it.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Avi, I want to say this with I Want to Talk. I think you shed every inch of inhibition that actors have to give, I think, what is one of your finest performances ever. I'm very aware that the film released, in cinemas 2 years ago. But I know that in 2025, it landed on OTT. And I just think it opened up conversations about exactly that triumph of the will and spirit. I want to ask you, what did it do for you, this performance?
A lot. I think it's so nice that we work in times where, especially as actors in front of the camera, who actually have the least amount of control over the narrative of what they're doing, get to express themselves and do a variety of different work and do films which you can actually help shape your future or your past. And I think that's really nice. I think art should also do that. It's what you feel like saying, and has it changed you in any which way? I've always tried to look at work through a lens that, can I become a better person after having done this film? What that better is a discussion, and it depends on your frame of mind at that point of time. But I'm just glad that I was given this opportunity by Shoojit to partake in something like this, and I think I'm the richer for it in experience, and it was a magical journey for me.
Well, thank you so much for that. Especially if you looked at the poster of I Want to Talk, it is a man standing bare-chested with his torso and literally his heart exposed. And I remember Shoojit telling me that it was actually not planned to be the poster of the film. It was some test shots that they were taking. Later, when he realized that this is the shot, this is what tells you what the film is about. It's a man who's standing half naked, vulnerable, and that's what his story is. He asked him if he could use the poster. And you said, sure, go for it, whatever you need. So thank you for that vulnerability. Jim, you're here as producer today. Yeah. Even though one of my finest moments was watching you turn into Charles Shobraj in Zende, and I loved that performance because it was so light and it was so fun. I saw you truly evangelize Sabar Bonda as a film. You made calls to people saying, hey, there's this film, you got to go watch it. I remember there was a party that was organized at Kitty Sue saying, if you bought a ticket to the film, come to this party, I'm going to be there. There were these screenings that you organized everywhere. There were these roundtables you were trying to put together. I saw you truly deeply engaged with this process. And I want to ask you, what did you learn?
I learned a lot. I wasn't the mastermind behind any of these things that you've said. I was just trying to support the team as best as I could. I kind of knew what role that I had to fulfill within the larger producer model. And on both films, Baksho Bondi and on Sabar Bonda, there are actually quite a few producers, especially Baksho Bondi, which has 21 producers. And Sabar Bonda also, there are quite a few. So there was a large team in both cases making these decisions and coming up with the decisions. What unified both teams is that all of the producers kind of got out of the filmmaker's way. we were there to support and to help, and because we believed in the script or the finished film. So I saw, you know, my job or my duty within it to do whatever I could to get it over the line wherever it had to be gotten over the line. And it's so easy with projects where you love the filmmaker and you love the film that has eventually come out. And so you can just wholeheartedly, unabashedly support it in whatever way you have to support it. So yeah, I just kind of, it's like it always happens when you talk to somebody who's championed a cause or something, you'd say, you know, and the person inevitably will say, you know, it helped me more than it helped them. It was more for me than for them. And I feel it's exactly the same thing. Like, I've enjoyed doing it more than the other way around. I think Sabr Bonda and Bakshu Bondi both are such beautiful, tender, incredible films that it's my pleasure to be a part of them than the other way around. Also, it's just so nice to be able to talk up a film without being in it, because as soon as you're in it and you're talking it up or you're asking for the exact same kinds of favors, there's always in the back of your mind a certain reticence or a certain discomfort of like promoting yourself. Whereas in both of these things, it's not that at all. I'm just promoting something I love, which is so much easier. Maybe the challenge is to say that, you know, to promote yourself in the same way and be like, I'm promoting something I love, but I'm not there yet, you know?
I can understand. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much for promoting both these films. It was a pleasure to see you in that role. Really, it was lovely. Anjali, Bad Girl spoke to me not because I'm Tamilian. Okay, let me get that out of the way. Because I know those beats. You know, I'm a woman in this country growing up, and I just feel that I had never seen a representation so true and yet so cool. Because the soundtrack's Amit Trivedi, there's visuals of Varsha, there's, you know, slices of Vetri sir, as well as Anurag Kashyap. There's you who's inhabiting all of these amazing things. And yet it seemed like an act of revolution. So I wanted to ask you, did you ever feel that you were revolutionizing, you know, cinema in any way while you were part of it?
I don't know if I felt like I was revolutionizing cinema in any way, but I think through the whole process, Varsha and I were very aware of the fact that we were doing something really special, because we were telling a woman's story to, you know, the world, and through the perspective of a woman. Our entire crew was made up of a majority of women, and that in itself felt really special, especially in the Tamil industry where it's not very common that you see this happening. And I felt like Varsha had a really, really unique eye and a unique way of telling a story. And somehow when we met, it was like two puzzle pieces. We were meant to meet and we were meant to make this film together. So I think that is what we were very aware of, and we felt like we were doing something special. I don't know if I looked at it as revolutionizing cinema in any way, but I did look at it as something that's going to be very impactful.
And it was. It truly was.
Yeah.
Because I felt seen. Thank you so much. Shazia, it's lovely how you worked right here, you know, with Neeraj at some point. Vineet, the minute I told him that you were on the table, said, "Arey yaar, Shazia table par hai." You know, there's this collective joy, you know, that people share to know that you made your first feature. So I want to first congratulate you for that. I also want to ask you that you could have relegated it to being just a love story. Instead, you said, no, you know. And I'm glad that Dharma also turned around and said, you know what, we did Dhadak, but we're going to do Dhadak 2 differently. So I want to ask you, what were your non-negotiables when you were telling this story? And can a first-time director have non-negotiables in the first place? Please inspire us.
For me, primarily the story was about Nilesh's identity. The love story was the core relationship in the film, but his identity, where he came from, Literally his seat in the class, his place in the class was very, very important in context to his identity. So that was non-negotiable. It wasn't that because there's a love story. And we were aware right from the beginning that we were telling a story that is going to go to theatres. So there are certain Hindi cinema, commercial Hindi cinema tropes, and I have grown up on it, so I didn't want to shy away from it. I wasn't being apologetic about it, that no, this is the route we are taking, so 5 गाने डालने पड़ेंगे, एक comedy scene डालना पड़ेगा. I was not apologetic about that. Me and Rahul, my co-writer, we kind of owned that we've grown up on the really good cinema from 70s, in fact, right from post-independence, from 50s, 60s, 70s, where there is a social commentary, whereas the story is about real people, but it's also what you frivolously say, entertaining, but it's actually engaging because people relate to it. And we were very clear that that is how we wanted to tell the story in the mainstream. We knew that we wanted to go to the pockets of the country where people think, oh, this is a commercial film, and they're hit by the storm. That no, not like last couple of decades, we have tried to stop telling, stories about people, the masses, what we call, which I also feel is a bit derogatory to call people masses, like, the lower class or the poor, and we've segregated it. We've kind of kept cinema for the elite now. We knew that we want to make film for the people, and that was very clear right from the beginning. And at no point in the process, in the filmmaking, did we think, no, this is something that will not work. I mean, of course, there's a lot of conversation. This works, this doesn't work. Everyone thinks that, like, generally we all come from a bias. We think we know what works. But I realized at some point it's really difficult for people to know what works, because we've seen the theatrical business at least have that kind of, like Sayara was an anomaly, right? It kind of shook the industry that, oh, a film can come and do that kind of a business. But it's also about reaching people. So we knew we wanted to reach people. That was our target audience. And in a country of 1.4 billion people, how do you decide what is your target audience?
Wow.
So it's really, it's like a bubble, right? So we knew that we wanted to tell the stories the kind that we have seen and, grown up, where there is Jaagte Raho, jahan Raj Kapoor जाके एंड में बड़ा मोनोलॉग दे रहे हैं और वो बता रहे हैं कि सोसाइटी में क्या प्रॉब्लम है. बिल्कुल. जहाँ क्रांतिवीर में नाना पाटेकर जाके बोल रहे हैं कि एंड में हिंदू का खून, ये मुसलमान का खून. एग्जैक्टली राइट. दैट इज द काइंड ऑफ सिनेमा दैट गेव मी हाई, एंड आई थॉट आई वांटेड दैट बिग monologue for Nilesh in the end saying, do you understand we are not equals and why we are not equals? So we are very clear right from the beginning कि ये तो हटाएंगे नहीं, तो इसको पकड़ के रखेंगे चाहे जो भी कुछ हो जाए. That was non-negotiable. So that idea was very clear right from the beginning कि ये तो चाहिए. हम लव स्टोरी से पैकेज कर सकते हैं, बट लव स्टोरी को भी डिमीनिंग तरीके से नहीं बात कर रही हूँ. In fact, love is such a strong emotion, and in so much of our popular cinema now, there is so much hyper-masculinity that love has taken a backseat. And I've also grown up in the 90s, and when love and Shah Rukh Khan, the idea of, love being this eternal emotion, that is what was the core of our stories. And I wanted that to be at the center as well. And love and identity in our society is intertwined, and मुझे दोनों में से किसी को एक को छोड़ना और एक को पकड़ना नहीं था. So that was the idea, to carry both. And I think somewhere the film has kind of managed to do that.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And even then, you gave just a scream to Tripti, and we're going to come back to that. Even though you insisted on the monologue, but your female lead only had one thing.
Because the film is about caste and gender both.
Yes, and we're going to come back to that. Thank you. Sanya, I do want to say, even though Mrs. was an OTT release, even though it was an adaptation, even though it was a remake, and even though, it did so much for women. And thank you so much for being that woman. So congratulations. I want to ask you what it did to you.
It gave me a lot of confidence.
Sure.
Which I think I did not have, or I did, but was not aware of it. It gave me a lot of love from women, because I love women, I love being a woman, and I love telling women's stories. So a lot of confidence and a lot of love. Though it was an OTT release, I think so many people watched it, so many women could relate to Richa's story, and so many women saw themselves in it. So yeah, it had a mass appeal. Wherever I go, I meet women and they tell me, thank you so much for doing Mrs. Thank you so much. This is my story. ये तो मैं हूँ. ये तो मेरी life है. And that makes me feel sad, yet I don't know.
Yeah, because you know, when before the film release, and I must share this with people on the table, I was thinking, how will you top the Great Indian Kitchen? And after it released, I realized it's not about topping it. You know, it's just about having a narrative in a language that would reach a different set of people. And I think that's what it taught me. So thank you so much for that. Vineet, what a year you've had, boss. I'm going to start with that. Chava, Superboys of Malegaon, Rangin, and then Nishanchi. And this year is also special because you became a father this year. So let's start with that.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
God is kind.
Yeah. So first, a few words just about 2025.
2025 मतलब मैं तो यही बोलूँगा कि हर क्रिएटिव आदमी के करियर में ऐसा साल आए हाँ,
बिल्कुल
हाँ, क्योंकि बहुत एक्टर्स के लिए तो मतलब आप बहुत डिपेंड रहते हो कि कब बेहतर स्क्रिप्ट आएगी बात तभी बनती है और वो पता नहीं होता कि कौन आपके लिए क्या सोच रहा है आप बस इस भरोसे के साथ करते जाते हो कि वो स्क्रिप्ट आएगी और वो किरदार मिलेगा और वो लोगों के दिल तक पहुंच जाएगा तो 2025 में ये घटनाएं कई बार हो गई
बिल्कुल
मेरे साथ
बिल्कुल 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 मुबारक हो
थैंक यू
and I want to take it to writer Bap Hoga because I think the rest of you should also know that Varun Grover, who was the writer on Superboys of Malegaon, was so gracious in an interview. When I asked him, I said, what a line, yeah. Thank you for bringing back this sort of 70s Salim Javed, sort of like confidence in writing. And he said that was Vineet's line. And I think that is also a great mark of how we're okay to tell people, even though that he's the writer. So I want to ask you कि वो क्षण कब होता है जब आप कहते हैं कि यहाँ improvisation ठीक है और वो क्षण कब होता है जब आप कहेंगे कि इसके परे नहीं जा सकते तो आप कैसे डिसाइड करते हैं
आप इंट्यूशन और मैं ये मानता हूँ ये मीडियम डायरेक्टर का है
जी हाँ
और डायरेक्टर अगर अलाउ करे बिकॉज वो पूरी फिल्म देख रहे होते हैं एज एन एक्टर अक्सर ये होता है कि हम अपने किरदार के बारे में बहुत ज़्यादा कुछ काम कर चुके होते हैं शायद उतने की भी ज़रूरत नहीं होती बट वो तैयारी करनी चाहिए राइटर मतलब अगर वरुण की बात करूँ वरुण ने इतनी अच्छी स्क्रिप्ट लिखी थी तो होता ये है कि जब बहुत कुछ अच्छा लिखा होता है ना तो छोटी मोटी कोई चीज़ आप कर ले जाते हो कुछ हो जाता है बट ये क्रेडिट मैं वरुण को ही देना चाहूँगा कि मेरे अंदर वो जाके जो चरखा है वो वरुण की स्क्रिप्ट ने घुमाया
क्या बात
तो वो कुछ निकल पड़ता है और हर एक्टर इम्प्रोवाइज करता है अब ये ऐसा हो गया कि राइटर बाप होता है वो एकदम से कैप भी बन गई टी शर्ट भी बन गई राइटर्स ने अपने टेबल पे भी लगा दिया इसलिए वो बात अदरवाइज मैंने देखा है मेरे को एक्टर्स सब इम्प्रोवाइज कुछ ना कुछ करते हैं एंड वो डायरेक्टर का विजन है कि यहाँ तक ठीक है इसके आगे
भी जी बिल्कुल थैंक यू सो मच Abhi, I'm going to take this to you again. I want to talk about how a film that you did in 2023, okay, which is Ghoomer. And then this year, of course, one of our most glorious moments as a nation was when the women's team lifted the World Cup. And I know for a fact that at that time, this film was watched by so many. And they were celebrating this film. It made me tear up when I watched it after this victory, because that's what it really takes. And what it made me think is that you could have never predicted that this World Cup would have been lifted by us. But at the same time, at some point you must have said, no, this is a film that requires my presence. It would be nice of me to be a part of this. How do you decide that this film deserves your presence?
I don't decide that at all. I've never thought, and I don't think any actor actually thinks like that. I think that's, yeah, I mean, we're known for megalomania, but not that much. I don't think any actor ever thinks that, oh, this film deserves my presence. I don't think an actor comes with that kind of security. Actors predominantly are very insecure people. And whether we can put it into words properly or not, but you're thinking, what can this film do for me? It's not the other way around. So when Balki had When we started writing the film, in typical Balki style, having known him for several years and worked with him before, Balki comes up with the concept and then he writes a story around it. And he came up with Paddy's character first. He just loved the idea of a very sharp-tongued, acerbic, down on his luck has-been. He said, would you consider? I said, yeah, that sounds like fun, because I knew what Balki would do with it. And then he came up with the idea of Ghoomer, of how somebody who doesn't have it in them helps somebody who also has a certain, I mean, in that sense, metaphorical handicap, but, and through her, he heals himself. So for me, it's always been, does this inspire me? Is this a movie I'd like to watch? Is this a story you'd like to tell? It's not that, oh, you know, if I'm in this film, it's going to get made. It's never that. And I think the minute, if you do take a decision like that, that'll be the end of your career. Because no actor, like Vineet just said, it is a director's medium. And I said initially that we're actually the least powerful people on set. These are the puppet masters. We're just well-paid puppets. You don't really have a say in what actually happens after the director has said cut and okay. You don't even have control or power over how your performance should come across. So an actor is always going to think of it as in, what can this film do for me? Because they genuinely, if they know their job, know that there's not much that they can contribute to the film. Yes, later on, if you're a very popular actor that can bankroll a kind of film, but even then, they're not thinking that, oh, you know, this film deserves my voice and my star power. Because if you're not convinced of the material, your star power is of no use.
It's of no use, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to reference an article in the Hindustan Times. Kunal Ray, he said, and this is for you, Neeraj. He said, as audiences of contemporary cinema, we often complain about the state of Bollywood films. We fuss about the quality, the box office, and then we're told that audiences will return when the quality of the films improve. Homebound is that rare Hindi film that deserves your support and applause, but are we doing enough to champion or celebrate excellence at the cinemas? Or perhaps, like most of us, we shall wait for the film to come on OTT or yaar ghar pe dekh lenge. And applaud it further though when it gets nominated for an international award. So there is a certain hypocrisy that he's pointed out in our own relationship to our own cinema. I was curious how you'd comment on this.
Rohini, I'm going to disappoint you by sharing my pessimism about this whole thing. Because, you know, every year in every panel we discuss about how the time of independent cinema is here, the time of, you know, there'll be this symbiotic relationship, but it isn't. You know, like more than, I think most of us have films which were jostling for spaces in screens, in theatres, and why should we only be content with critical acclaim outside in a festival? Why can't we have both? You know, I feel that we get appreciated, but where are the footfalls? Where are the people who are wanting to watch? And I hear this perspective also, because you see a family of 4, let's say, want to go watch a movie. I mean, they're working so much through the week, and there's just one Sunday or one Saturday that they get a time off. And a family of 4 would spend about 3,000 rupees in a theatre, including of like all the snacks and meal and travel, all of that. They are bound to go to a tentpole film. What is an alternate? Like, what if there is this thing where our films could be shown for 500 rupees, like all inclusive? There would be a choice. There would be a level playing field where they would say, okay, fine. I mean, this looks interesting. It sounds like a story that I would like. Like Shazia said, you know, it's engaging, and that's also entertainment. I would want that. Like, what if our films? Why don't our films get featured on Doordarshan? You know, I mean, I grew up watching Doordarshan films, and that's how my incubation happened in like Govindalani and You know, all of those films, Satyajit Ray's films, all happened. So I don't know what is the answer to it, because we every year it is like a step forward and two steps backward. And we keep having this debate, but I genuinely don't know the answer. Also, post-pandemic, it is sort of worsened, I feel, because people are not willing to take that risk and watch. I mean, people who has watched all of our films, they've genuinely loved it. But we still don't know where will the numbers come from? Where will we get more screens? Yeah, sorry for being a pessimist.
No, this is my preoccupation on most days. I just smile while I say it.
Likewise.
Likewise. Jim, that's interesting that he brought that up, because Kanu actually did not expect that Agra would be a tipping point where, you know, so many filmmakers would come together and say there is a requirement to do something about this. Did you sign that as well as a producer? This not yet. So what was going around was indie filmmakers, directors and producers came together and said, we need to sign something together and say that this distribution model doesn't work for indie films. It's relegated to, like, say, 9 shows in an entire city. The shows are inconvenient. You have to travel very far and wide. It's 11 o'clock on a Tuesday morning in, like, Meera Bhayandar. So are you really doing, you know, justice to these films? Where do you see this? Have you faced it? Have you thought about it as well?
Yes, it doesn't work. The distribution model does not work. How to change it? I don't have a clue. I understand Neeraj's point about the amount of money spent and the amount of how people do want to go and just have what you'd call entertainment, you know. Does that mean changing our relationships with films in general? Can you decide what people should want? No, not really. Everyone should be open to their opinion, and films are a subjective medium, and just because my film education means that I like to engage with a difficult subject and potentially leave a film devastated, and I don't mind being devastated by it, and I don't mind the process of unpacking that devastation, does not mean everybody wants it. How it is to change, or will it ever change, or I really don't have any... I don't have any answers. I just know that the system as it currently is, it doesn't work.
Yeah. May I add something to what you were just saying? There's also this notion that our films can be OTT. You don't necessarily have to go watch in theaters. But all of our films, trust me, like I remember watching Sarbh and I had the most profound theatrical experiences in all of my, in a long time, trust me. Like, I think it's my favorite film of the year. And you sit through and you don't want to get out of the theater, and you don't want to see outside. Even for my film, everybody who's told me that they have wept through and they've sat through the credits. You know, this interesting episode happened where this person tweeted at me and said that we were early days, not many people were there, and there were a bunch of guys, and there was somebody in the other row, a person sitting alone, and they were about to get up when the credits rolled, and this person was crying. So they sat and waited for the person to finish the thing, and they went and took him out and bought him chai. Now, all of these experiences, like, it is a community viewing experience. So, you know, this misnomer should be like dispelled that, you know, our films also are also a theatrical experience, not just because we don't have a Superman flying, or we don't have song and dance, we don't have action, but we still are, you know, a theatrical experience.
Thank you.
Sorry.
How do you change it? I don't know. You can keep making what you like to make, and you can hope that people will go and watch it. You can champion it as best as you can. You can rally people together. You can get people to post. How do you change a distributor's mind? How do you change an advertiser's mind? How do you change the cinema chain's mind? I don't know. I don't know if... I mean, I definitely don't have any answers. And it seems like large production houses don't have the answers either. So then, what is it? I don't know.
I mean, the only thing that we can think of is maybe it has to be institutionalized. That's the only way, like when policies are made to favor, like, you know, there'll be a cutoff for like a certain film can't go beyond this, or these kind of films will have to be playing. Like in Maharashtra, we have Marathi films have to be played in certain theaters. You know, that kind of thing. If there is, it'll only come maybe from that, because I don't know.
I just think it's all bottom line money at this point. I mean, this idea of cinema as an art form, like how we think about the modern Indian art movement and the prices things go for at the moment and how people support Indian art, modern Indian art, is not how people think about modern Indian cinema. It's not. They're two separate items. It's become one is an art form and one is entertainment. And if your film dares to be some mix of both, it has to lean heavily towards one side. Otherwise, it's even discussed in a kind of sneering, you know, you're pretentious kind of way, which is odd because I actually don't think Sabarbonda or Homebound are pretentious films at all. Like they're not even trying to be. It's not trying to alienate or condescend upon.
Or be esoteric.
Or, or condescend upon an audience. In fact, it's very much inviting an audience in, very openly and with hands stretched forward. It's just that the form is different from a form that has become
the norm,
palatable.
Or the norm,
Yeah, so then if I've only eaten this kind of food for so many years, this other thing just tastes odd. It's a bit strange. Not sure what's going on here. So you don't give it a chance. So then people are like, no, this is that food, people won't like it. 11 a.m. show, bhai andar.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I hear you. But I think making space for this conversation is one of those things that we can do. And thank you for making space for this conversation today. Sometimes I feel like screaming about it, but I can't. And sometimes you put a scream at the end of your film. We're going to come back to that right now, because I felt like for everything Nilesh said at the end of it, that intersectionality between gender and caste, and when it's a woman, you can only scream, is the way I look at it. But today I have the opportunity to ask you, that scream is so powerful, it hasn't left me. Why did you choose that?
It was not written in the script.
Okay.
Yeah, it was because we were very aware the film is Nilesh's film, right? To a large extent, we're talking about a Dalit boy, you know, coming of age story of a Dalit boy. And at some point, we knew that Svidhi is going to be looked at like a Savarna woman, and how her story is going to get, like, she also has an arc, right? She realizes she's more ignorant about things at the beginning, and she comes through by the end of it. And literally to a point, we have this monologue, right, about Izzat kya hoti hai. And she's had her moment, she's said everything to her family. What could she say at the end that doesn't overshadow what Nilesh says? So we went through many, Rahul and I wrote quite a few lines, and you know, she's telling her father, oh, I didn't expect you to be like that, things like that. But it just wasn't working. It all sounded so contrived and it didn't feel real. And so we just took out her lines, and Rahul and I were so jittery about it that there is a female lead in the film and her lines are being taken out because it doesn't justify what could she say after. And at the time when Siddhant was saying the lines when we were shooting, and Tripti started hyperventilating because she was responding to everything that he was saying, and she was just breathing really heavily. And Rahul just said, you know what, she should scream. And the father, the chacha and the father, they come out and they have a scuffle with the gun. It's like she should just scream, because what women don't have agency in basic choices like, you know, choosing a partner. She doesn't have a choice. She said everything she could have said. You know, at one point it just felt like we just went and told Tripti, no one on the set knew. We just told her, you know what, at some point just scream if you feel like. And we said, if you feel like. And she did, and everyone on the set went quiet. And she teared up while screaming. And we knew that this was going to be and also while talking about gender, एक औरत के पास, after a point, what do you say? It's also my frustration of being in the industry for 20 years because, you know, there are such few female characters that you can say that this is real, because the blanket thing is, if a woman is strong, then she has to be very loud and fighting. You know how that stereotyping goes. And we just wanted Vidhi to be very real. At that point, it felt like her scream was also our scream. Her scream was also Nilesh's scream. And basically, जो, you know, बहरों को सुनाने के लिए चिल्लाना पड़ता है, it was somewhere the film was trying to make a statement like that by the end of it. But it was something we found that magic on set. It was not planned, it was not written. And it became the most talked about thing in most opinion pieces. And
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sanya, I'm going to take this to you. I remember when I asked you, why did you work in Jawan? And you, sorry, we're an SRK simp table. So sorry about that, guys. You said you wanted to work with him. That's the only reason you did it. But this year, you ticked another bucket list for working with Mr. Maniratnam. So I want to ask you that, is that why you made Thug Life the choice? Because that was fun to see you there. And he, in turn, said something very beautiful about you. He said, great dancer, nice person. Lovely. Two things, if I want it to be said about me: great dancer, nice person. So are you ticking off a bucket list?
Ultimate validation.
Yeah. So are you ticking off bucket
He said
list?
that about you?
Yes.
It's 2 sentences more than he'll say about anybody else. So take it.
Oh my goodness.
Money doesn't compliment people easily.
So I wanted to ask you, how are you doing this? You're ticking off bucket list, you have a list, and then you say, done, done, done.
Actually, I don't, but I think I should have now, because after Mrs. this year, I took time off for filming. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to experience life, and I did. I'm glad I did. I honestly, I'm quite confused. I'm in a state where I don't know what I want to do or what I'm doing next year, and I'm really enjoying that. I worked non-stop for 4 years, and as I said earlier, that Mrs. really gave me that confidence, and now I just want to like take a step back, bring myself together creatively, and you know, maybe make a list of things that I want to do, because I didn't have a list, and I'm very lucky as an actor that I get these opportunities, and I just go for it.
How
But
lovely.
I should have, definitely, I think I should have a
Now you
list
should have a
now.
list.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Because that, I guess, after, yes.
No, I was just thinking it's interesting that some people say the manifestation thing, you know, right? There's that. Then another part of me is a bit like, yeah, but you make the list, then you're constantly judging yourself based on whether you've done the list or not. When you didn't have a list, you were just happy with what you got.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never know with these things.
So not make a list.
No, I don't know. I don't know what's better or what's worse. Some people like say manifestation. You have to do it. You have to know.
What if you miss out on such a big opportunity, but that's not there?
It's not on your list?
Yeah. What will you do? Exactly. But not that list. I don't want to sit and manifest, but maybe just get my thoughts together.
Yeah, what would you like to do? You
Yeah.
know? So that's a great place to be, where you say, you know what, I'd like to do this.
Yeah,
So,
I'm a bit discombobulated. I don't know what I want to do in future.
how nice.
Yeah, and I'm really enjoying that state. I don't want to really pressurize myself and be like, नहीं कर लेते हैं, एक और film कर लेते हैं, क्योंकि घर का लोन चुकाना है.
And then we just got very real. Thank you so much for keeping us middle class. Anjali, I know Vetri sir was the producer on Bad Girl. I'm not so sure if he's the sort of person who would ever come in and say, you know, you're the actor, he talked to you directly. I don't know. But I'm fascinated. What did you learn from him?
Well, yes, he produced the film, and this was Varsha's first film ever as a director. She worked, like Vetri sir was her mentor for nearly a decade. So she learned everything about films from him. And the wonderful thing between their relationship was that he was very hands-off in his approach, wherein he let her kind of do her thing, you know, see her vision the way that she wanted to. He didn't interfere a lot in that sense. He was obviously there as an advisor to her, and he was very supportive through the entire process. The one time that I did work with him was in the college sequence. It was a little daunting for Varsha because there were a lot more people in that scene, and she had not worked with scale before herself, so she was a little nervous about that. And there was a little bit of action required in that, something that Vetri sir is very well versed in. And so he directed that scene. So that was my first opportunity to work with him directly. It was very interesting. I felt like their energies were completely different. He's very hands-on. He knows exactly what he wants, and he's an incredibly intimidating person when he comes onto set as the director. That was interesting because it was like a complete switch from working with Varsha, who it was almost like working with a friend because we're also very close in age and we have similar mentalities and ways of thinking, as opposed to working with someone who comes in with this very intimidating aura. And I think I learned a lot from him, honestly. That scene was a very impactful scene eventually. Most people end up talking about that scene. The little calls that he made in the way that he wanted it to play out, in the way that he wanted me to act in it, in the way that he wanted my co-actor Sashank to act in it, all of it eventually created a very impactful scene. In fact, when the punch happened, everyone everywhere was wooing, which was great because I was very anxious and nervous about that for sure. Also, I was acting in a language that I don't technically speak in, and it was a very emotional and anger-fueled scene. And when you do stuff like that in languages that you don't speak in, it's very, very challenging. But Vetri sir was super supportive, and he was a really great teacher through that.
No, I loved it. It was so great. Another reason why I think I really wished or dreamt of this table together was truly because I just want people to watch these amazing movies. Honestly, I was like, what are the films that moved me this year? And literally, this is that list. This is the list. So I hope you know that you're all here because you've all moved us. You've all made us feel. You've all made us cry. You've all made us take a moment, out of our crazy lives. And that's the power of what we're doing. I think as filmmakers, we're often relegated to entertainers, or as actors even, because I really feel that the conversation around actors is usually about, okay, what is this actor doing in his life, not like how is he moving the needle when it comes to society. So I want to take this to a place now. I want to ask each of you, what is your wish, for Indian cinema? And I want to start with you, Neeraj, and I want to take it on this, chronologically on this table. What do you truly wish for our cinema to do?
I think I expressed that in my pessimism earlier, I feel. But I think, I feel there are more avenues for, if there is a way to change the mindset, not just in audience, in the way they want to watch, it's also about producers and distributors and realizing that they always say that these kind of films are only going to work. This is the test that has been done, only these kind of... Why don't we experiment? You cannot quantify creativity. You can't say these statistics say so, ergo we need to take these calls. Why don't we take a risk? Why don't we champion? I think I'm trying to come out of my film for a moment and I say that Karan Johar producing a Homebound or a Dhadak 2, in this year, and then also Mr. Scorsese attaching his name to my film. These kind of things should happen more often. It's a great thing that, and I think we both of us did the film exactly the way that we wanted to do it. And it is a great thing. We should, maybe this kind of model will sustain and we'll have, because we don't have the funding that we need for these kind of films, the championing that it needs. And also the state, support from the state is essential because we can't thrive on our own. And I really hope that the next year we see that there is a shift in audiences' perspectives, in tastes, and there's a shift in perspective with the distributors and institutions who want to hold us back.
Sure. Thank you so much.
My wish for Indian cinema, keep giving me work, that's all. Like I said, हम लोग actor लोग हैं भैया. They're the opinion makers and they direct the film the way it should be going. As long as you just keep working, I think there's room for everybody, and make your place under the sun and just keep working. I just hope it keeps functioning, very honestly. So it might sound boring, but that's what I feel.
No, but I still feel like as an actor, you are making those choices. You are making such choices where you are, and as much as you say, it's not on us, you know, I feel like every time you choose a story of an underdog, I feel like the underdog is given more audience, and you're just telling these stories, and there has to be a choice, and there's something that you're doing there, which is making me feel like, you know what, thank you for doing this film.
You know, it's a very tricky question to answer, because your mind can change every 2 weeks. There's a day where you feel like a revolutionary, and there's a day where you don't. And you just do a film because I'm going to have fun doing it. And that's fine. And that should be acceptable, and people should not be judged just for that. At the end of the day, it's an emotional thing that I felt like doing this film. I mean, I Want to Talk, I did a movie called Be Happy, Kalidhar Lapata, but in the middle of that I did Houseful 5. And look, your evaluation of the content or the aesthetic of the film may differ. But I did it because a bunch of my friends were doing it. I wanted to have fun. I went and had fun, made a fun film, completely left field from what I was doing at that point in time, because I felt like doing it. I didn't feel a moral responsibility to want to move the needle. I wanted to just go have fun and express myself. And I did. I also feel sometimes we take on a bit too much pressure on these things. And that's completely understandable. But it's not about, oh, you know, you're playing the underdog and giving them a voice. There are some very commercial massy films which are about the underdog. Lagan is about the underdog. Ghadar is about the underdog. One guy goes into Pakistan alone and he's an underdog. And he comes up with a hand pump and a lot of other things. But it's how you look at it. I think at the end of the day, we're also there to, and everybody's an individual, and everybody's individual perspective has to be respected. So, I mean, just, I don't feel compelled all the time. Yes, there are days where you get up and you rue your existence and you're like, "Arey yaar, aise kyun nahi ho sakta hai?" But then you have to go out and do what you feel like doing. And if you have the luxury of being able to do that, make the most of it, because it's probably going to be gone by next Friday. So, yeah, enjoy it. And every day doesn't have to be like, I'm going to change the world. You might not have the ability to change the world. You might have the ability just to change yourself. That in itself is changing the world as well. So I don't look upon it at the level
Yes,
that
fair.
you are looking at it. Yeah.
Fair. I hear you. Thank you so much. And I'm going to take a cue from him and ask you, what's your wish for yourself in the
For
movies?
myself, and I think more women behind the camera.
Yeah,
There are only
beautiful.
17% women technicians in our industry. So that number needs to go up. And for myself, I just want to have fun. I just want to have peace and happiness.
Go
whatever
for it.
I'm doing.
I love that answer. I want to have fun.
Yeah.
Great
I just
dancer,
wanna have
great
fun.
dancer,
I should
nice
have
person.
said that. Yeah.
Great dancer, nice person. I love this.
Great dancer, nice person.
It's fab. I would
Fun.
put it in my Instagram bio. Jim, we've heard from you, but is there
I
anything?
have so many wishes.
So many wishes. Say one.
Yeah. If the distribution model can make indie sustainable.
Yes.
So not that it makes the most money in the world, but at least that it's
Covers
sustainable.
cost. Yes.
You make enough that you feel happy having done it and you can move on to another one, make another one.
Yeah.
And you've made enough that you're happy having done it and you move on to another one. That would be nice. Opening up this like producer model that mitigates risk. So each of the 21 producers put an amount that is manageable to them, right? That helps. So if the distribution model can make indies in such a way that it is sustainable, then the hope is that producers back stories and storytellers from all over India, because the breadth and depth of diversity in India is just astounding. The stories hidden in the nooks and crannies of this country are incredible. The idea that a producer will then back somebody who knows that place and has had that experience to tell the story hyper local is very exciting to me. Yeah, all of these things.
All of these things, all of the above.
So many things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. My hope for the industry going ahead is, I feel like there is so much hidden talent everywhere in this country, but it's the industry itself is so inaccessible, and I guess a hope is that it becomes slightly more accessible to people who are really talented but don't know how to get there, you know, don't have the access to the right people, or, you know, because I would be very excited to be a part of those kind of films as well. For example, Varsha's film, Varsha had access to Vetrimaaran, which is why she was able to make this film. And without that access, we wouldn't have gotten Bad Girl. And I, selfishly, would not have had the opportunity to play this character.
Of course.
So that is a
Important
hope.
to you, yeah.
I would say for myself, I don't know, there's just so much darkness everywhere. The world is like fully doom and gloom right now. So I'm just hoping that I can have a happy future more than anything else, where I'm breathing clean air and doing the thing that I love to do, and I'm just happy. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding us. Thank you so much. Vineet?
मेरी ना एक बड़ी छोटी सी विश है, मतलब अगर सिनेमा की बात करें, कई बार कुछ चीज़ें होती हैं ना, उसके साथ न्याय हो नहीं पाता।
बिल्कुल।
तो मेरी ये विश है कि मुक्काबाज रिलीज कर दो।
Yo baby! I love it.
और मैं ये ऑन कैमरा रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ।
बिल्कुल।
किशोर लुल्ला सर से, रॉस, आनंद एल राय सर से,
बिल्कुल,
फैंटम से, अनुराग कश्यप सर से, उन सभी लोगों ने जिन्होंने मुझे एक ऐसी ज़मीन दी जिस पे खड़ा होके मैं काम कर पा रहा हूँ, ज़्यादा बेहतर कैपेसिटी में कर पा रहा हूँ। उस फिल्म के साथ न्याय हो नहीं पाया है, कहीं वो फिल्म रह गई है। तो कई बार होता है ना, कोर्ट में भी पुराने केसेस खुलते हैं, तो उसे ऐसा केस मान के पब्लिक के लिए फिर से थिएटर में खोल दिया जाए।
क्या बात?
क्योंकि कोई ऐसा दिन नहीं जाता जब भी बहुत सारे मैसेजेस ये नहीं होते। मैं छावा भी कर रहा हूँ तो भी कोई बोलता है सर मुक्काबाज रिलीज करो। तो मैं उन सब लोगों से निवेदन करता हूँ, विनम्र निवेदन करता हूँ कि मुक्काबाज रिलीज करिए।
क्या बात है, क्या बात है। I love that.
I was a PD at Mukkabas. I would second that.
I know. This is so great.
One thing for Indian cinema, I think, is coexistence of all kind of cinema. I think that is what we, like I was saying about the 90s, there was Hum Aapke Kaun and DDLJ, Dil To Pagal Hai, but there was also Mammo, and there was also Naseem and Shyam Benegal cinema and Saeed Akhtar cinema. There was no gatekeeping of any kind. अगर वो नहीं हो, और जैसे नीरज ने बोला कि दूरदर्शन पे फिल्में आती थी और हमारा एक्सेस इंडिपेंडेंट सिनेमा के लिए वो था और वही था, और कमर्शियल फिल्मों के लिए थिएटर एक्सपीरियंस था, और हम दोनों कर रहे थे, दोनों बैलेंस, एंड वी हैड दैट मेमोरी ऑफ व्हाट सिनेमा मीन्स सो मच टू अस इज दैट चाइल्डहुड, राइट? एंड आई विश दैट द जनरेशन टुडे कैन एक्सपीरियंस दैट. Unfortunately, because of reels, I mean, this is a different conversation, but also a lot of entertainment burden is on the reels watching, right? And people don't have attention span to watch a 2-hour film. I just hope for that time to come back, and somewhere if we can have that kind of a, not a streaming network, but ये एक government policy से आना चाहिए कि there is a TV where your film can, you know, sustain, because that's a platform where people's stories can be there. And like AB said कि हमारे लिए हम एक बदल जाए उतना काफ़ी है. सिनेमा पे बहुत बर्डन है पूरी समाज को बदलने का, वो शायद पॉसिबल नहीं होता है. कुछ कुछ तरीक़ों में होता है, लाइक रंग दे बसंती, के बाद हमने देखा था. But otherwise, it's a big deal that I see a film. I saw Mammo and I thought, अरे ये खालिद मोहम्मद की नहीं, ये तो मेरी कहानी है, right? तो वो जो experience है, I really wish that comes back to Indian cinema. I feel somewhere थोड़ा सा हम भटक गए, at least हिंदी film industry में थोड़ा identity crisis चल रहा है. I just wish, and coexistence of everything, not really saying कि ये अच्छा नहीं है, you know, this is not superficially talking about that society doesn't need this.
Sure, sure.
You know, there can all kinds of cinema can coexist.
Can coexist.
So, yeah.
You know, and while we do this, and I'm coming to a close with the table, I just want to say.
May I add?
Sorry?
I want to change my answer if I can. I'm sorry,
Sure.
I'm taking time. But my wish is also that if our cinema can be representative of the population of India in the right sense, I want to elucidate more on that. What I mean to say is that right now in cinema, we see only the 15% of the population, which is either upper caste, it is urban, it is all of that, or it is small town India, but it's also in a very condescending gaze that, देखो इनको English नहीं आती, देखो इतनी funny है, देखो इतने ये हैं. Where are we going beyond that? I mean, here I am representing the 25% of the population, which is never shown. We're always seeing the same 15% of the people and the same names and the same stories are coming through. I hope, I mean, when is the last time that you've seen a film about a Muslim who is just represented as just having their life going about, and there is no binary of a good Muslim, bad Muslim, of people from lower caste or people from LGBTQI or any of those? Like, can't we just have stories about those as well and not concentrate on just the 15% of elite upper caste urban people?
Yeah, I was just thinking about how it's some weird vicious cycle that, like, the bad habits of the elite have resulted in the backlash at the moment being so extreme, and it always happens, right? It happens in cycles. The liberals win for a while and then the backlash emerges. Liberals go too far, then backlash, then vice versa, and it's a cyclical process. So the backlash against that kind of elitism now ropes everything into the same boat, which is what I was talking about, how with a film like Sarbh, it's made by a guy who really had that experience and is not talking down and is not condescending and is actually a very warm, tight hug, right? And yet it'll be now lumped into the idea of this elitist, condescending filmmaking world. How do you separate the two? How do you know which one is which? How do you have the discernment to be able to do that?
See, even that, you know,
tricky.
like even Sarbh, like 60 to 70% of our population is rural India.
Yes.
Where are the films that you've seen that are in villages? We don't see them at all. We are only concentrated on urban people. So.
Kalidhar Lapata.
Yeah.
Kalidhar Lapata. And
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That
exactly.
There exists.
Actually,
these-
AB represents all the things
Yes.
that we want from cinema. You've done your repertoire for all this year is actually comprising of everything that we want from cinema.
It's beautiful.
You
It's
know?
beautiful. No, and at the same time, you know, while I bring this to a close, where today we've not really, you know, I wish we celebrated more, but we've questioned more. And I never thought that that's what this table would be like. But thank you for making this table that. I wanted to say to each of you, thank you for being here and for sitting with each other and for being here for cinema. Because that's what my wish was. I loved each of your films, each of your performances. And I couldn't have had a better table. So thank you.
Thank you, Rohini.
Thank
Thanks
you
for doing
so
it every
much.
year.
Thank you,
It's
Rohini.
so cool.